I'm Lindsay Maloney, and this is the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I built a six-figure coaching business while raising my 3 babies and working a 9-to-5, and I'm here to help you break free from the hustle mentality that's been holding you back from reaching your full potential so you can know your worth, step into your own power, and of course, book your dream clients. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. Today we have Brooke Allison with us. She is a multiple six-figure mind shift expert and achievement strategist. Brooke is sharing so much in this episode. I'm sure you'll probably have to listen to this a couple of times. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Brooke, thank you so much for being on the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and tell them about what you do and who you serve?
Absolutely. I go by Brooke Allison in business. I am a multiple six-figure mind shift coach and achievement strategist. I help really ambitious entrepreneurs scale to that six-figure mark and create consistency in their income. So they are no longer on that financial income roller coaster that I feel like is a yo-yo at times. And I help them by creating a business and a mindset that is fiercely unstoppable. I am master certified here in NLP, EFT, hypnosis, time techniques, and everything as well. So it's so fun to help people rewire their subconscious mind and really master their personal psychology so they can release anything holding them back and actually achieve the level they desire.
I love it. We connect very well because we have a lot of similar modalities, and just similar mindsets. And I love that. I kind of had a feeling that's what you did when you were talking about how you help people when you see those breaks in their success is because they don't have the confidence. And right there, it kind of clicked in my mind. Like, I'm sure she probably does something that helps them get it.
Confidence is my jam. I tell you. But you know what? It wasn't always this way. I mean, there was definitely a point in my life that I've always been outgoing. But just because you're outgoing, that does not mean you're confident. And there was a long time in my life that I wasn't confident, and I had to overcome a lot of obstacles. And really, I should say I got to overcome a lot of obstacles, right? And because of those obstacles that I overcame, that confidence was then built over time. And as I started really owning my power and owning who I am, what I find most often is that people actually forget who they are. And in times of overwhelm and stress and not knowing the next step and what do I even need to do next, there's 2 questions I love to come back to. And this is really the 2 questions that have helped me kind of just feel this empowerment over and over and over again is, what do I know is meant for me? Like, what do I know is meant for me? So for me, and I mean, I'd love to hear yours too. For me, I know I'm meant to be a millionaire. I don't even know how to explain it. It's a knowing in my body. I know I'm meant to be a millionaire. I know I'm meant to impact the masses. I know I'm meant to travel the world. I know I'm meant to have a deep, incredible love in my life. I know I'm meant to have a family. It's just a knowing. It's just part of who I am. And then I
love that. I love that.
What is yours? I'd love to know. Like, what do you just know is meant for you?
I know that I am meant to impact thousands of women to help them make an impact on the world themselves. So like for me, I help coaches make an impact on the world. It's not just start an online business. It goes so much deeper than that. Yeah. And I just, it's when you have full confidence that every move you make, whether it doesn't fire right away, it's a move that it has to be made. And I just know that everything I do always works out for me. I've always had that attitude, and I'm sure you have the same.
Everything always goes my way.
I know. Really, and it sounds so selfish when you hear it on it's not.
It's not. And it's okay to say it. And, I love talking about belief systems too, but like the way your brain works is the more that you repeat something over and over again, whether you see it in your conscious mind or your unconscious mind, when you repeat it over and over again, it becomes part of your conscious. So you're actively aware of it. It's just like the beautiful example of this is like when I bought my new car, I thought like, oh my gosh, this car is so different. I've never seen anything like it. This is actually really cool. And it's still really cool, you guys. Like, I still really love this car. But I drove off the lot and I feel like I saw it 5 times that day. And I had never seen it before in my entire life, but that's how our brain works. Suddenly you're
Yes.
aware of it and you're seeking evidence that it exists elsewhere. And so, everything goes my way. That's just become the truth. The more fun I have, the more money I make. That's just become the truth. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
always that way. I would have
Mm-hmm.
laughed and I kind of barfed a little bit in my mouth, that's not
Mm-hmm.
true
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at one time. But now it's just, that's the truth because I found the evidence for it to be true and I've built the confidence around it.
Okay, so for me, when I heard people talking about, act as if, and it's all in your mind,
Mm,
and I was like, well, that's
mm-hmm.
so easy for you to say because you're making all this money and I'm stuck in the
Yes.
trenches and must be nice kind of attitude.
Uh,
What were you
yes.
dealing with when you felt you were in the slumps and you heard all these people talking about, mindset shifts, and now you're a six-figure mind shift expert. You weren't at one
Mm-hmm.
time. So what were you
Right.
dealing with then?
Yeah. And what's interesting is I've actually been on my personal development journey for over 6 years now. So obviously that's been quite a bit of time. I started my first business when I was 22. And really it's starting that first business that kind of opened the door to the mindset world. But I mean, even when I started this business, I started this coaching business about 2.5 years ago, maybe about 3 years. God, time flies. The next thing you know, you
Mhm.
blink and then you're like, what is today?
Mhm.
And when I first started this business, I was definitely in that place. I was confident at that point. I felt really good within myself and my abilities. But around money and stuff, especially, I was a wreck. I was
Mhm.
working 4 part-time jobs. I was working my first business, hustling in that, starting a new business, and I still couldn't afford my bills. I was on food assistance, and that was probably the most embarrassing financial situation of my life. I'm going to be honest with you.
Mhm.
It was very hard and very something that I didn't want to talk about, and I'm grateful to talk about it now at an empowered place. But
Mhm.
I definitely had those moments where I was like, oh, money is easy. Like hearing people say money is so easy. It just comes to you. Just believe it can. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't understand. And I think
Mhm.
it's kind of reframing our mind. And the thing we have to remember and realize is we only see out of our own little box. So the way that you see things, the way you receive information, it's distorted, it's generalized, it's coming through the eyes of your past experiences up until this point. What I had to then realize is that there are boxes outside of my box that I can choose to jump into. And I'm going to be honest, I was willing to try anything. I was in a place that I was like, I'm not meant to be in this space. This is not me living as my most powerful self. And I remember having this prayer of help me figure this out. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be open. And I promise when I figure it out, I will help others do the same.
Mhm.
And keeping that promise. So I think it's one of those things that what I love is that I've been open for change.
Mhm.
And that's how we have to look at it as well, realizing that if it's possible for someone else, it's 100% possible for you too, which is why I'll never stop sharing my income wins and I encourage everybody listening, go share one of your top wins that maybe you're like, oh God, I don't want to sound boastful or look at
Mhm.
me or whatever that is. But the reason we do that is because you become a belief barrier breaker for someone else, someone is sitting there right now who's not thinking it's possible for them. And if it wasn't for everyone in this world and in this coaching lifestyle, if it wasn't for them saying, I just hit a 10K month, a 20K month, I would have never thought that would be possible for me.
Mhm. So I had just shared a post for my experience with my signature program. This is being recorded in February, and I had a post that said that it was titled "How I Made Six Figures in My Online Course."
Yeah.
And it was very resistant. I was very resistant to post it because I had that,
Mm,
am I bragging? What are people from
right.
my hometown going to think? I know that I'm going to have people sharing my victory in the online space because I surround myself with people who have very healthy mindsets, but
100%.
there's going to be a little bit resistance probably from other people. Right. And then I thought, okay, well, that's a mindset that I would have had years ago, looking at other people's wins and be like, oh, must be nice, or that's probably a lie, or there's no way that's possible. And you have to cut ties with all of those things, because what
Absolutely.
other people think of you, it doesn't matter. And celebrate your victories, because it's going to
100%.
inspire somebody else.
People are watching you at all moments and times, so if we talk about like the customer journey, they go from unaware to aware, and whether sometimes in the unaware phase, you're just unaware that they're actually watching you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two different types of unaware. There's either they're unaware of you and you're unaware of them, or maybe they're unaware of you and yet you're kind of got your eye on them, or it's like they're aware of you, but you have no idea they actually are there. And it's
Mm-hmm.
those times and those moments. And I think I felt very similar, right? When I first started transitioning and no longer running the previous business, I totally had these thoughts of like, what are people going to think of me? I have just been busting my ass. I hope I can say that. Busting my ass
You're
and
good.
and really working hard, saying I'm never going to quit this business. I had all this buildup around it, and then I decided to do something new. What are people going to think? What are my old mentors going to say? Like, what are they? And
Mm-hmm.
I totally had those moments. And I had to kind of check in and realize, well, whose opinion of me actually matters?
Mm-hmm.
And when I can think about that, then it doesn't matter. And realizing that this is a part of a bigger picture, it's not about me. It's about everybody that I meant to impact. And it's to show people what's possible. And if we kept all of our wins, and if we kept all of our our successes to ourselves, we would never know how much we could actually achieve.
Yeah, and it's celebrating yourself,
Oh
sharing
my
with
gosh,
people those huge
yes.
accomplishments, every little win in your business. I don't care if you made $97 on your
Yeah,
program
that's
or
awesome.
100,000, everything. It's just energy, and you had an exchange, and that's amazing. It's brilliant.
Yeah, celebrating actually allows other people to increase their energy around it too, because other people want you to succeed. And other
Hmm.
people are cheering you on, whether you realize it or not. And so when you get to celebrate yourself, they get to celebrate with you, and it brings everybody up. People want a reason to celebrate, people want a reason to be happy and to find joy. And essentially, you're giving them extra reasons to be a part of something bigger than they've got going on themselves.
Hmm. So do you find that the people that you work with, when they're working through that process of finding their confidence again, do you find that they're seeking it in outside sources and not recognizing their own journeys? Do you find that that's a common thing for them?
I do think that's often very common. And I have to kind of check myself at times, right? As, through this journey as well. And what I believe is there's always a 10 times more confident level. I think it's kind of like money mindset and everything too, and growing and expanding that. You're never just coming to a completion of I'm the ultimate confidence level. Like that doesn't
Hmm.
exist. It's this, how can I strive for more excellence? And how can I be a little bit better than where I was yesterday? How could I achieve that? But absolutely. And I have to, like I said, check in with myself. Am I allowing my external responses to determine my inner worth? Am I allowing what's happening to me or happening for me on the outside waver my belief system?
Hmm.
And that's why I'm telling you, these two questions, I went over the one. The second question actually goes perfectly with this. It's, what do I know is true about me? And when we get tripped up and when we get triggered and we get frustrated and we start comparing and doing all of these things, well, what do I know is true about me? I know I'm incredible. I know I am so filled with love. I know I'm really good at what I do. Like, I could just go through a list of all of the things I know about me. And it's kind of like cutting off all the ties and just really focusing on, what am I really good at? I know people say like, put your blinders on, put your blinders on. It's so easy in the online space to have millions of things to compare yourself to at this point.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think we all talk about, oh, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. I don't know anybody that doesn't compare themselves. Like I think that
Hmm.
there is no way, because it's so easy to do, but it's seeing yourself in a way of, if they can do this, I can do this. They're
Hmm.
just human. They poop the same that I do. We both
Hmm.
poop. That's cool. So we both eat, we both have
Hmm.
things that happen. We both deal with death. We both deal with life and joy and sadness and all of the things, knowing that other people can do it. And so on this confidence journey, it's constantly going back to who you are, knowing that you are the source of everything you desire. Your success, you running after your goals, that's all up to you, and you can actually achieve it.
So important. I think we're just way too caught up with comparing ourselves to
It's so easy
our
to do at
beginnings
this
to everyone's
point.
middle. It is so in, and I find I do it myself sometimes too. And so you always have to. I was writing an article the other day about
Yeah.
what to do when you hit that when you catch yourself in the imposter syndrome mode, and
Mm,
instead of just, shutting that off, why don't you wish them well first and
yes.
unfollow or mute, but always wish them well and put those good vibes out there. So you're not, it doesn't like cut that currency off.
Oh,
Wish
totally. And I
them
mean,
well.
you guys, there's an unfollow option.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of checking in and being like, is this triggering me in a good way or in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's deterring me and upsetting me? Because if it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to help you get to your goals, then it's just something that we need to release right now. And I love your vision of, hey, let's give them some love. Like, let's send something to them that says, I am so proud of you. I'm so excited for you that you just hit X goal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
congratulations. And I'm sure they would love to hear that. Can you imagine
Mm-hmm.
someone just popping into your inbox and saying that to you? I
Mm-hmm.
had someone recently who was a family member. I didn't even know, this is what I'm telling you, people are watching your stuff whether you realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him in a while. He's like a distant cousin or a second cousin or something, that I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how we're related. And he came up to me and he's like, Brooke, you are my hero. I love seeing you travel the world. I love seeing what you do. It's absolutely inspiring. And it's not that I'm not an adult, but he's like a, an established a business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
has his life together, and I've just never expected someone who was so much more mature and older than me to
Mm-hmm.
say that to me. And that's why you never know who you're impacting every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. And having the attitude that this will help somebody, no matter
It
if
will
it's just one
be.
person, it's going to help somebody. There's so many people who are watching you. I just had a student join my program yesterday, and she said, "I've been
Yay!
stalking you on Instagram for over a year," and I
Ah,
didn't even know.
that's
You
so
don't know.
fun.
You just always put your best self forward, and you
I
can
feel
still
like
share those raw moments.
yes, 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 yes. I feel like you and I have are on a very similar pathway because yesterday, speaking of which, I just had someone out of the blue who has been like an OG Brooke Allison follower, like the original people. We've never worked together before, and she out of the blue was like, "I want to do your program," and I was like, "Okay, great, let's get you signed up. Like, this is awesome. I haven't talked to you in maybe a year, but this is great." But yeah, it's that ripple effect, right? And realizing that what about the touch that you have on one person, and think about the touch that they have on all the people that they're
Mm-hmm.
around, and then further and then further and then further, and before you know it, that is how you really impact the masses.
For sure. It's the ripple effect at its finest. I love that. I talk about it all the time because
Mm,
I think when we get so hung up on our little things and, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, I always say
right.
you are doing a disservice to the people who need you. There are so many people out there who need you. So why are you hiding? Why are you letting that stop you? And I love that you help them work through that. What other things? What's your
Yeah.
other favorite thing to work on in your business with your clients?
Oh gosh. I mean, I love strategies, but ultimately I love helping people like rewire their brain. Doing like time techniques and parts integration is one of these things that, and it's such a beautiful moment for people because we literally get to remove thoughts from their brain. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even, it's the best way to describe it in a way of if we were kind of just describe it the overall of what we're doing is
Mm-hmm.
we're integrating. Have you ever just said, well, part of me feels this way, but part of me feels this way? Or part of
Mm-hmm.
me wants this and part of me wants that. Those are separate parts inside of you. And we can actually integrate them as one, knowing that they have the same ultimate goal, which is protection of you. And
Mm-hmm.
when people can start to realize that you can rewire your entire thought process and your entire brain, and what that does, it's so invaluable. It's like the most incredible thing that's priceless
Mm-hmm.
that is completely going to change your life. And I mean, of course, I love helping people achieve, like, I love helping people hit their first 10K, 20K cash month. Like, that is
Mm-hmm.
so much fun. But that doesn't happen unless if we're in the place to allow it
Mm-hmm.
to happen and be ready for it to happen in our mind.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. The clients with the most success, or the fastest success, not the most, is because they do the inner work and they know that
Yeah,
that's what's going to be their main driver. I do RTT with my clients. So it's so funny how when you work with clients, no matter what they come in with, and they're, like you said before, your mind is always trying to protect you, no matter what the
100%.
client comes in with. And you ask, it's to protect them. So
Yeah.
whatever is going on with you, and whatever you feel is holding you back, it's just your mind doing its best. And I always say, you're
Yes.
always doing your best.
Yes. And something to kind of check in with is asking yourself, what am I receiving by staying where I am? Because the reason why you are where you are is because you're receiving something. You're
Mm-hmm.
getting something out of being where you are. And maybe it's extra love from your family, or I don't know. So I'll give you an example if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, when I was in my financial rut, I was receiving money from my family. My family has been always so supportive. They've always been so kind, and my backbone when I'm trying to follow these big dreams, whether they understand it or not. And they've always been so great. I somehow formulated in my brain, because of this association, that money equals love. And if I became wealthy enough to no longer need their support when it comes to money, that would mean that they don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
Consciously and logically, that makes
Mm-hmm.
absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in some way, I found evidence for that to be true in my brain and my subconscious mind. That had to be worked on. And I mean, I don't believe that at all. And now, I mean, my mom, oh my gosh, when I hit my first 10K month, it was like $17,000 in cash. And we went to Maui. I treated my mom on a vacation. We went to
Mm.
Hawaii for like 7 days. It was beautiful. And even just as I traveled full time last year, she met me out in Paris, and we went to London and Paris together. And now that gets to be a part of it. And it's no longer just about me. I get to impact and influence
Mhm.
them and help them in ways that they once helped me. But I had to break that association. So
Mhm.
asking yourself, what am I currently getting from staying where I am?
That's such a powerful question, and I love that you treated your mom. I love that.
Oh, it was so fun. I know we were just talking the other day because we just went on a 4 season spa day the other day, and
Mhm.
we were like, we need to go take. Well, my mom's like one of my best friends, so we are like, we need to go take another mother daughter trip and just kind of brainstorming where we want to go and what we want to do. So
I love
I
that.
I love. I mean, I'm a big traveler. I went to over 40 cities last year, so
Hmm.
I'm all over the place.
Okay, so how do you run your business when you're traveling all over the world?
Yes, I think that people make it harder than it actually is, right? It's not, it doesn't have to be difficult. I think we make things more difficult than they have to be. So I plan things out a little bit more. And honestly, okay, going back to the belief system that everything goes my way,
Mhm.
I do have a lot of trust in my business that, of course, it's just always going to work out for me.
Mhm.
And actually, even when things don't look like it's going to work out, I have to be honest. When I first decided I was going to travel full time, and I moved back to all my stuff back home, especially so my cat could have a place to live.
Mhm.
I sadly had to leave him while I was traveling full time, and I didn't need my things in an apartment in Denver that I was paying for to not live there. So I moved everything kind of back to the St. Louis area to be closer to family. And it was one of those moments in life where, have you ever just had those moments where you're like, there must be a camera somewhere? I bet you someone's going to pop out and they're going to be like, just kidding. This was all a joke. Like, don't worry, life is good. Yeah, I was definitely having one of those moments. I was in a massive car accident 5 days before moving across the country.
Oh my
My car
gosh.
was totaled. Yeah. I had loads of issues with the moving truck. In fact, I didn't even, 24 hours before I was supposed to move, I did not even know that I had a truck anymore. I had to figure that out. There was a lot that happened. A lot of resistance came up. Came across the country, ended up buying a new car. Then I learned how much I owed in taxes, which is like the non-sexy side of business ownership. And then I invested in this program. My income took a huge dip because of everything that had just happened. It was just like, what is going on? And then I was like, I'm just supposed to go travel full time. Like, I've got my tickets now. What am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. And it's redeciding that this is my goal. This is my vision. And I'm going to make it happen. I feel like there's 2 levels of decision making. It's first like making the active decision that I'm going to go after this. And then it goes a step deeper. I think a lot of people make that decision, but they don't make the second step of decision making, which is this is happening no matter what. Like, I am going to put my guts and soul into it. And so, I mean, before I knew it, everything was fine. And I like had 30K in 10 days and it was all as well. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's reframing your brain to, okay, what needs to happen now to look for the long-term vision? And when traveling full-time, the hours just shift. A lot of people are like, oh, how do you still talk to your clients? What happens there? I mean, they just understand that we're on different time zones. The talking doesn't really change. My schedule changes. I usually go have fun during the day and then work at night. And, and then I just allow myself to have a lot of freedom. I didn't build this business to not have freedom. I did the opposite. So just allowing myself to have fun, trusting it's going to work out, and then having things in place to hold me, having the systems in place, having a team of people helping you at this point. I did wait for a certain amount of time to go travel. I think I was already making 10K cash months, so it just kind of made sense. But I think people just make it harder than this. It doesn't have to be, it can be really easy. And that's what I like to ask my clients too. If this was really easy and fun, what would it look like?
I love that question. What is kind of a common thing that your clients say when you ask them that?
Usually they light up and they're like, okay, if this was easy and fun, it would be like this, right? And it's reminding ourselves, because shit's going to hit the fan. Like, resistance is going to pop up. I believe as soon as you take a stand for your goals and your vision and really what you want to achieve, I feel like the next day or even later that day, something comes up that you're like, oh, I don't know now. Like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And, I don't know that there is a common theme with that answer, but what it helps people do is it helps them reframe and just remember that this can be easy and fun. And again, I think that a lot of times when it comes to business, we're just making it too much about us, and we're making things mean things about us when they don't mean anything. Business is business. A lot of times it's not personal, but it feels so personal because this is a personal business. But if Target got butthurt every time they had a return, then Target would not be in business,
Right. Well, okay. So I love that you kind of showed the rough side, like all of these things that were thrown in your path. And I would love to talk about your perspective on that. When you feel like you're moving and everything's going your way, and then boom, this big rock comes in front of you, or maybe like 20. What's your teaching moment?
And here's the deal. I mean, it wasn't just those one times. It's been many times, like many times in my life. I've had many enough is enough moments that were very pivotal for me. It is one of those things that I'm grateful that I'm able to go through things because I can help people go through it faster. And this is where the whole embodying fiercely unstoppable truly comes from, is when you have your dreams, like if your dreams if they don't scare you, if they're not like, oh my gosh, like, like exciting but scary at the same time, then they're not big enough. And you really want to have really, really big, big dreams, because that is what's going to continue your journey when stuff does hit the fan. And I think a really beautiful visual with remembering here is, if you are a river and I throw a giant rock in your river, you're still going to find a way to push through. And when you can embody fiercely unstoppable, that you are never going to give up no matter what, because your mission is bigger than the bullshit you're going through. Your message is bigger than this. That's how you persevere and you constantly become an overcomer. And it's like the reminder that you get to be an overcomer. You get to be an overcomer. There was a time in my life that I actually wished for obstacles. Yeah, be careful, you guys. Be careful what you wish for. I literally wrote down, I have it in my journal. I could screenshot it and send you a picture of it. I want to overcome challenges.
Okay.
I don't know why I asked for that, but guess what I got? A whole lot of challenges that I overcame. One of those being an abusive relationship after moving across the country. But I'm so grateful, because if it wasn't for that situation, I never would have built myself to the confidence level that I am today. But at the time, at the time where things get hard, and at the time where it just feels like, man, there's so much happening, like there's so much resistance, like maybe I should contemplate not doing this anymore. Maybe this isn't the right path for me. When those happen, what I know to be true is everything that's going on is leading you to your deeper purpose. And I believe that God and the universe does not give you anything that you aren't fully equipped to be able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And just remembering that I can choose again, I can do this, and it's building yourself back up. And every time you do, I feel like you stand taller each and every time. I feel like I've definitely gone on a tangent with this question. I answered the question, and then I went like, woo, and I was like, what was the original question?
It does make you taller, and it makes you so much stronger. It
Yes.
absolutely does.
Yeah,
and I love those moments that, when you look back, when you're building your business and you're building all those foundational things,
yeah.
I really feel like I had a lot of things that, went on that weren't amazing too. And I use my business as it was almost therapy for me, because it was, okay, I can control this. It feels like I can't control anything else right now, but this I can control. And it was like, my business was given to me to help me through those things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, you have to quit.
Too.
For sure. And it helps you cope with other things. And then it helps you work with your clients. Everything happens for a reason. And I know that sucks to hear sometimes.
Yeah.
But it really and truly does.
Yeah. And, it's realizing, and I think this is what needs to be shown more in the online space and in the entrepreneur space, is that you're not alone. And I think that's one of the biggest things and lessons that I needed to learn. Because sometimes, I'm going to be honest, when I would tell my friends what was going on, they're like, oh, I've never dealt with this before. And I'm like, what? Okay. Great. But, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to say what's going on, because eventually I talked about it again with someone else, and they're like, I went through something so similar, and here's what happened here. And when you can find those connection pieces, it's like, oh, okay, like this is normal. This is something that it's not just on me. It's not just about me. And it makes it something that's bigger, and okay, other people go through this too. That means I can overcome it even more.
And I think it all ties back to, at the beginning, we were talking about the car. You didn't even notice. You were so in your own crap. And then all of a sudden, once you opened up, it like, oh, there's so many other people that are dealing with the same thing.
Yeah. Have you ever painted before?
No. Well, watercolor with my daughter.
Okay. Fun. Okay. I love this visual. I'm a very visual person. Yes. That's how I explain a lot of things. And I actually went to art school. That's what I went to school for, a while ago. And I used to paint in art school. Of course, we had to do all the different mediums. Painting is one of the most beautiful ways to kind of have this vision of the overall goal, right? Because we only see what we can see. And when we're too close to what's going on, it's almost like when you're painting something, usually you're pretty close to the canvas. You're pretty close. Because it has to be at least arm's length, right? So you could actually paint. Well, if you were to put the painting on one wall and then you walk to the opposite wall and then look at it, you can actually see what your next step is. And that's essentially what we have to do when chaos is happening. We have to kind of remove ourselves from it and look with a bird's eye view of, okay, what's actually going on here? And then we can address, this is the next step. And then with the painting metaphor, it's like, okay, I thought I had contrast in there and you can't see anything. It's a whole bunch of colors that looks like nothing, right? And then we know we can go in and add some contrast and add some things. And that's what we have to do about our goal. It's not about what's going on or what you're going through. It's about where you're heading.
Take a step back and look. You have a bigger perspective. I love that.
And sometimes we need other people to be able to do that, right? That's why we hire coaches. I mean, I always have a coach, and I'm sure you do too.
Oh, for sure. I think it's so important. And I also think it's important to look at how you work best with people too. For me, I'm an introvert. I thrive off of one-on-one coaching. Group coaching is great, but I love a one-on-one coach. And I always believe you should have somebody, because they have a way broader view than you do. They're step back even further, and they can spot things that maybe you can't.
Yeah. And it's like finding those people that like are your balcony people, the people that are going to lift you up and show you the way. And, it's like finding the people who is already living the life that I want to live and how can I spend more time around those people,
Mm-hmm.
because they are able to expand your mind in so many ways that you wouldn't even expect it. Like they help you see all of those outside boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's remembering that you can release the grip that you have on the world. Like you can release the way that you see things, knowing that there's always another opportunity. There's always another choice.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is one person, one client, one opportunity, one conversation to completely change your life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think that's a great place to stop because I think we gave everyone so many things to think about, and I hope everyone feels empowered, Brooke, because you shared so much of your story and so many things. I'm sure people will just want to probably just listen to this a couple of more times because there's a lot of things
Yeah,
dropped in here. So thank you so much for sharing everything, your story, all the tips, all the things. It's been a pleasure having you on.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to connect with the listeners of this episode.
For sure. We're gonna put in all of Brooke's links in the show notes, how you can find her. Go follow her on Instagram.
Yes.
Screenshot that you're listening to the episode. We'd love to hear from you and let us know how we can serve you because we're here to help you make a bigger impact on the world. So reach out if you feel called to do so. Brooke, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I am so grateful for you, and I want to be sure you are a part of my free community. Go to dreamclientcommunity.com and join our free Facebook group. We have all kinds of cool things happening every single day, so don't miss out. Also, if you love downloading freebies, check out my freebie vault on my website by going to lindsaymaloney.com, selecting freebie vault, and there you can download all the things that will help you start and scale your coaching business. And if you're feeling extra generous, be sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.